Trump administration turning its focus to tax reform after the GOP's move to repeal and replace Obamacare stalled. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin says that it is time for a tax overhaul to bring profits back to the United States. Listen.
On the business side, we have one of the most complicated systems in the world. We tax on worldwide income. With our system of deferral, it is not surprising that trillions of dollars are left overseas. We want to bring back those profits with a lower business rate so that companies can invest in America.
This, as the House Ways and Means Tax Policy Subcommittee will hold a hearing today on reform ideas to simplify the broken tax code and deliver economic growth. Joining us right now is Illinois Congressman Peter Roskam, the chairman of that subcommittee. Good to see you, Congressman. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
So give us your early thoughts in terms of what you want to discuss at that tax hearing today.
Today we're going to be talking about individuals and basically the crushing nature of 70,000 pages of our tax code, which just blows people's minds and is just completely overwhelming. And think about this in your own life and all of our own lives, how much we long for simplicity, an easier experience all the way around. TSA pre-check, going through the easy lanes at iPass or whatever it happens to be. We're focusing in on what a simpler code means. And the blueprint that we have in the House, under that, 95% of American taxpayers would fill their tax code or their tax return out on something as simple as a postcard. So today it's focused on individuals.
Well, okay, so it's simplification is the focus today. Do you believe you and your colleagues are going to be able to get some tax reform done this year?
Yeah, I do, and here's why. There's nobody who's defending the status quo. Nobody loves the tax code. People like the ACA, people don't like the ACA. Nobody likes the Internal Revenue Code. Now, they like certain elements of it, obviously, but nobody likes the whole thing. So that creates basically an inflection point, and I think what we've got to do is recognize the inflection. Nobody likes the IRS either, and the best way to get the IRS under control is get the tax code under control. So in answer to your question, I think it's more likely than not that we get tax reform done in 2017.
Congressman, on the individual front, the ACA had a couple of provisions that hit individuals, a surtax on payroll taxes and also investment taxes, which hit individuals above $200,000 a year, married couples above $250,000. That didn't get done. Is that going to show up in the tax reform that you are going to be advancing and Congress is going to be advancing? Does that get moved over into this next thing, or is it dead?
No, I don't think it's dead. I mean, the proposal in tax reform is to lower these rates all the way down, and we presuppose that the ACA was taken care of in terms of repeal. Now, I recognize the drama of the health care debate, but part of getting these rates down is driving towards growth. And there's a real interesting fault line that's out there that's developing in terms of tax discussions right now, and that's a worldview about what the economy is like. There are some people who have convinced themselves, falsely, that the economy is a zero-sum game, that if you benefit, that somehow that comes at my demise. That's out of sync with really who we have been as a people. By and large, I think the smarter way
You're talking about cutting taxes for for higher income Americans.
Yeah, and so the question then, you know, the question becomes a question of distribution and so forth. But here's the underlying theme. Let's grow this economy. And the growth numbers that come out of the blueprint, for example, it's moving the economy from 2% to 3% growth. I mean, that type of growth just takes your breath away. So that's really worth pursuing. But that's in answer to your question about trying to get these rates down generally. Yeah, we're trying to drive it.
But Congressman, local deductions, do they go away?
Well, you've got to look at that. So I represent a jurisdiction outside of Chicago that has high taxes. So I'm very mindful of looking at the totality of this package. So it really matters to me what the rates get to, how it relates to the elimination of the AMT and other things. We did some focus groups back a few years ago when Dave Camp was chairman of the committee, looking at the Camp draft. And what was interesting about the focus groups was folks were willing to come in and look at the totality of the presentation without coming in and saying, I need this particular thing, I need that particular thing.
It sounds like you're hedging a little on state and local deductions.
I'm open-minded, my friend.
Well, so the Republican Congress voted on a Obamacare replacement, moved it. The Senate and these tax and spend liberal Republicans killed it. It's dead. How frustrated are you with that? And what is the likelihood that happens if you guys move tax reform and it moves to the Senate and they do the same thing because they're buying into some Democrats' bumper sticker?
So I'm not ready to just put the, put the cloth over the face and say that the health care debate is dead in the Senate. You know, we had our episodes in the House, and it comes back and so forth. So there's a little bit of a lurch going on.
So you think they still can get a vote in the Senate?
Look, let me put it this way. I think it's possible. I'm not here pumping sunshine, but I think it's possible. Now, that said, there's a lot of work that was done in the House. It's frustrating to see what the Senate is doing, squandering that, basically. What we're trying to do is avoid that hassle with tax reform. So in other words, trying to come to a sense of agreement at the front end of things on these larger themes, and then driving it.
What are going to be the basic parameters of this? What are you going to be selling to the American people? What are the 2 or 3 things that you're going to be able to tell the American people they're going to get when this is all done?
Here's what you get. You get real growth, you get simplicity, and you get permanence. Right now, we've got temporary tax policy in this country and permanent spending policy. Let's fix that. Let's move that. We can do that. And there's so many people that perceive the tax code as somehow like it's a natural disaster, like we can't do anything about this. This is not Hurricane Katrina. These are all self-imposed rules. And since nobody likes them, let's change them.